You've seen this happen, right? You see a new product, a really clever idea, and it just completely flops. It has all the bells and whistles. It looks amazing, but nobody actually uses it. It's a story we see play out all the time.
So what's the deal? Why does this happen so often? Why do so many great ideas, ideas with real potential, just die on the vine?
Well, a lot of the time, the answer is surprisingly simple. They were solutions looking for a problem. They were beautifully engineered, but they didn't solve a real, honest-to-goodness human need. And that is exactly where design thinking comes in.
So what is the antidote to building stuff that nobody wants? Well, it's a powerful approach called design thinking. And at its heart, it's all about human-centered innovation. Let's dive into what that actually means.
Okay, so if you strip it all down, design thinking is a creative and iterative way to solve problems. But here's the secret sauce, the part that changes everything. It puts people, real, living, breathing human beings, right at the center of every single decision you make.
That sounds great, but how do you make sure you're actually solving a real need? Well, design thinking gives you this fantastic framework. It's all about looking at any problem through 3 essential lenses to find that innovation sweet spot.
First up, and this one always comes first, is desirability. This is the human lens. You start by asking, what do people actually need? What are their real motivations, their hidden frustrations? It's about digging deeper than just what they say out loud.
Next, you've got feasibility. This is the big reality check. You have an amazing idea, but can you actually build it? Do you have the technology, the resources? Is it even possible for your organization to pull it off? And finally, the third piece of the puzzle, viability. Because let's be honest, a great idea that can't pay for itself is basically just a hobby, right? This is the business lens. Can this thing actually work in the long run? The real magic, the true innovation, happens right in the middle, where all 3 of these circles overlap. And, this quote from David Kelly, the founder of the design firm IDEO, just hits the nail on the head. He said, "The main tenet of design thinking is empathy for the people you're trying to design for." It all starts there. It's the absolute foundation. Okay, so the mindset makes perfect sense. But how do you actually, do it? This isn't just some vague, fuzzy philosophy. There's a practical 5-step process that can guide you on this journey to a better solution. And here they are. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Think of this like a roadmap. It takes you all the way from, I think there's a problem here, to a fully tested, human-centered solution. Everything kicks off with empathy. This is where you have to consciously put your own assumptions and biases on a shelf. The whole goal is to get out into the real world and get a deep, personal understanding of what your users are actually experiencing. You're trying to walk a mile in their shoes. For real. A super powerful tool for this is called an empathy map. It's a simple way to organize what you're seeing. You look at what people say, and then you watch what they actually do. And trust me, those are often 2 totally different things. Then you try to figure out what they might be thinking and how they're feeling. It helps you get way past the surface level stuff. So once you're swimming in all these amazing real-world insights, you move on to the define stage. This is where you synthesize all that messy, complex information into a single, clear, actionable problem statement. The key here is that it's framed from the user's point of view, not your business's. All right, you have your mission, your well-defined problem. Now comes the really fun part. Ideate. This is the all-out brainstorming session. You generate as many solutions as you possibly can. No idea is too weird or too wild. At this stage, it is all about quantity over quality. You want to push past the obvious answers. Okay, so you've got this mountain of incredible ideas. But ideas are cheap, right? You have to make them real. That's where prototyping comes in. This is all about building quick, low-cost, tangible versions of your ideas. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to create something you can put in front of a real person to get feedback and learn. And these prototypes can be super simple, what we call low fidelity. I'm talking about paper sketches, storyboards, even mock-ups made out of cardboard. Or they can be high fidelity, like an interactive digital mock-up that looks and feels pretty close to the final thing. You start simple and cheap, so you can learn fast. And finally, you test. You take those prototypes you just made and you put them in the hands of real users. Then you just step back, watch, listen, and learn. What works? What's totally confusing? What makes their eyes light up? This feedback is absolute gold. Now, it's really tempting to look at these 5 steps and think, it's a nice, neat, straight line from 1 to 5, but that's just not how it works in the real world. The reality of design thinking is a lot more like a creative dance.
The truth is, this whole process is a loop. The stages aren't always sequential. What you learn in the test phase might send you right back to ideate for a whole new round of brainstorming. A prototype might even reveal that you defined the problem all wrong, sending you all the way back to the beginning. It's a flexible, fluid process.
So, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Does it lead to success? Oh, absolutely. And to see just how powerful it is, let's look at a classic case study, the Gillette Guard.
So, here was the problem. Gillette, this absolute giant in the shaving world, could not crack the market in India. Their advanced, multi-blade razors that were so popular in the West were just sitting on the shelves.
And the prize for getting it right was massive. We're talking about a potential market of 400 million new customers. So, what did they do? They threw out their old playbook and they decided to try design thinking.
They started with empathy. Researchers actually went into homes and just watched how men shaved, and what they saw changed everything. Men were often shaving on the floor, using just a small bowl of cold water. This was worlds away from a spacious bathroom with hot running water. Their existing razors clogged up instantly and were a nightmare to rinse.
So, armed with that one critical insight, they went back to the drawing board and designed the Gillette Guard. It was a total rethink. A single blade razor, a safety comb so it wouldn't clog, and it was easy to rinse in just a little bit of water. They launched it for only 25 cents, and it was a monumental success, capturing 2/3 of the entire market.
And that Gillette story, it's not really about razors, is it? It's about the incredible power of a simple change in mindset. And it leaves us with a really powerful question to think about in our own work, our own lives. What problem could you solve if you just started with empathy?